All right. Good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started here. My name is Ellie Blaine, and I'm the director of the Small Farm Conservation Program. And today, January 7th, we are really excited to kick off our new year of the Small Farms Updates. Again, this is a monthly call to dive into a technical topic or a program topic and invite special guests and then get updates from our program as well. So we are really excited today for our special guest speakers, and I'll turn it to Megan Ayers to introduce them.
Hi, y'all. I'm really excited to welcome Tay Fatke, who is the Farmer Education Manager at Marbleseed, and Thomas Manley, the Climate and Conservation Director at Marbleseed. Um, they are coming to us live from Wisconsin, um, and have been active in supporting farmers both in their state and in the broader Midwest region. They have a really lovely, their organization has a really fantastic small scale co- um, conference at the end of February. So I definitely recommend anyone who's interested in attending. And so with that, I will kick it over to Tay and Tom. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having us. I'm going to share my screen here and it might take a second. Um, are you able to see that now?
Yes, I am.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Um, Good morning. My name is Tay Fatke. I'm the Farmer Education Manager with Marbleseed. Marbleseed is a nonprofit that focuses on organic farming education, helping farmers build sustainable and regenerative and systems and use them on their farm. We help with uh, building wholesale capacity and just generally try to help small scale, mid-size agriculture thrive in our ecosystem. We Marbleseed's been around for over 30 years. It started kind of with the conference first, actually, and from there built out into more of a nonprofit serving farmers with more than just the conference and education. So we've evolved really to provide different programming, do some policy work. We have a mentorship program, and we'll get into some of the other things that we're doing. But really, our focus and our tagline is that we're farmer-led and rooted in organic. We're always going to advocate for organic as much as we can, whether that's just using organic practices on your farm or going through the certification process. So that's something we strongly believe in and strongly believe in supporting farmers towards that system. So again, my name is Tay Fatke, Farmer Education Manager. My role with the organization, I've been here for over 3 years now, is organizing field days, managing our mentorship program, creating other educational events like New Farmer U and Organic University that I'll talk about a little later on. And originally I was hired to help with the LFPA program in the state of Wisconsin. And that's something that has really held true for what I believe in and something I advocate for getting that program back or something similar so we can continue to do that work. So wholesale capacity, helping farmers really scale up and meeting demand is something that's really a passion of mine and something, like I said, I will advocate for to try to get that work back up and running again. And I'm based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The pictures here is the top picture with the single apple is one of the few apples I harvested from my organic trees. And then the picture below is the apples I harvested at an orchard I was helping out at this fall. So definitely some goals for me to scale up my apple production. And then I'll turn it over to Tom.
And I was informed that we y'all keep it fast and loose around here, so I intend to do exactly that. I'm Tom Manley. I'm the Climate and Conservation Director at Marbleseed, and I am an organic conservation specialist with NRCS, and I'm also a farmer. That is my favorite cow, Rory, behind me there. We primarily raise grass-fed beef on our farm. Next slide. All right, this I like to just start stuff off here, and I know I'm preaching to the choir. You're already folks who are committed to conservation, but this particular picture comes from a place that's not too far from my farm, not too certainly very close to where we host our conference every year in La Crosse. This is in the Driftless in Monroe County, in right just off the Mississippi, just east of the Mississippi River, in an environment where conservation was really kind of modern conservation was really born here. And it was because of scenes like this that were commonplace in the Driftless at that time. I mean, that's essentially a 40-foot deep ephemeral gully, and that is how bad it got before the advent of the Soil Conservation Service and long before the NRCS. We were seeing soil leave our landscapes to that degree. I always think it's a nice place to start these conversations. Next slide. All right, I'll talk a little bit about some of our programs. One of the biggest things for the team that I manage here, the conservation team, is our role as part of the Organic Transition Initiative. We are one of the partners, along with Oregon Tilt, who's the lead partner, OATS, CCOF, and OTA, as well as the Organic Farming Research Foundation. Between the group of us, we host 6 positions for organic conservation specialists, 2 in each of the 3 NRCS regions. I work here in the central region. We have 1 research position that is housed at the Organic Farming Research Foundation. And then our primary role is to provide training and resources for staff through each of the tech centers. So I work through the Central Tech Center in Texas, and we reach out to states and provide whatever training they request in the as it relates to organics. So we do a lot. We do what's called the working effectively with organic producers. Some of you may be familiar with that content, and then any specific content related to ways that they can better serve organic producers and the practices that are specific to organic producers. Next slide. One of the other programs that we manage on the conservation team is our work with the Midwest Agricultural Conservation Network. The MAC network is every state has a lead organization. We're the lead organization in Wisconsin, but you can see the other organizations that we work directly with there. This is more producer facing work. There is also a role supporting staff, but a lot of this work is really helping producers with the planning pieces and determining what practices might make sense on their farm, and really focused on small scale, historically underserved, those producers that we all know don't always get the same degree of support that some larger producers do. Next slide. I always like to include this slide, and I know again I'm probably preaching to the choir, but a lot of the work that we do on the conservation team revolves around planning, starts with planning. So I know that we oftentimes focus on steps 2, 3, and 4 in this process, and we get a lot of questions about that. I think producers tend to gravitate toward the idea of selecting a practice and then filling out an application based on the practice that they think they want to implement. But I always try to stress the value in the conservation planning process and starting with the planning, because I think that it's been my experience that we, both as a farmer and as someone who's planning with producers, that the outcome and the result for the producer is almost always better when they start with a fully realized plan and a schedule of practices that is reflective of that. Next slide. Again, just going to quickly continue to beat this drum about planning and why it's important. Anyone on this call who's worked with producers and gone through those first 7 steps of the planning process, this is really what we're hoping to do. And these are the main bullet points. And you've probably jump to the next slide there, Jay. This is the way I like to represent it as often as possible, because this really is It's a dynamic process. It's a holistic process, which I think is very important when you're working with organic producers or diversified operations in general. We really have to be thinking about our farms as whole systems, and I think that that is really consistent and aligned with the conservation planning process. We can start this process on any one of the steps. I think we oftentimes encourage producers, particularly in a situation like we're in right now, where we have an upcoming deadline for sign up. We encourage producers to get in and fill out an application. But often, all that does is require us to go right back and start phase one. We're starting at step 8 when we're filling out that application, and I think we really better serve these producers if we can answer those questions early on, identify the problems that exist on their farm, determine what their objectives are, their goals, and what their resources are. What's their capacity for implementing any particular practice? Then look at alternatives based on those specific resource concerns we identify and knowing what those goals are and what their ability to implement is. And then if we end up with a schedule of practices that they can apply for over time, we have a whole farm conservation plan that they can implement on whatever time frame makes sense for them. So I will stop beating this drum now. It's an important message I like to drive home every chance I get. Next slide. This is really the other big program we manage on the conservation team, and that is our work in what was Climate Smart. We are the lead partner. We're the lead partner on a Climate Smart project that, like all of them, was canceled. We did make the decision to reapply under AMP, which is the Agricultural Marketing and I can't even remember what the acronym is at this point, but it's very similar to Climate Smart, but without any of the climate labels, and more money's being passed directly through to farmers, which is also a good thing. So we are, like I said, the lead partner here. We're working with those other organizations that are identified there. This is an opportunity for producers you might be working with. You can see all the states that our project includes. Indiana is definitely one of them. This is open to producers really of any scale, as long as they are producing grain crop of some kind. And that can be small grains, that could be corn, that could be any number of things. So even on just a couple few acre kind of scale, they're potentially eligible for this program. So if you're working with producers who fit that description, please reach out, or let them know that this is something that is potentially available to them. It is monies going directly through to the farmer to implement practices. They are NRCS practices. We are implementing them for the most part consistent with implementation requirements for NRCS practices. But it is an opportunity for producers to access some additional support without maybe the long lead time that might be required for working directly with NRCS. I think next slide. And that's pretty much what I got. That's my contact information. If you are working with producers who may have an interest in our AMP project, or anyone who really needs support for conservation, please reach out to me. If I can't do it directly, I'm happy to direct you to somebody who can help directly. I know I'm probably, like I said, just preaching to the choir. I know a lot of folks on this call probably are very skilled conservation planners, but I'm always happy to help wherever I can. Thanks, Dave.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Tom. Um, I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our other programming at Marbleseed, and I'm going to start with our work around supporting producers in their transition to organic, or at least implementing organic practices. So we have an email and a hotline here for any questions coming in about organic certification. Again, I've worked in organic certification for a little bit, worked on a lot of organic farms previously. I'm currently figuring out my own transition journey for some of my acreage. And if I can't answer the question, we have a great if we can't answer the question, I have a great field to kind of go out to it and try to answer that question for you. So make those connections and just get you the right answers right away. So there's a lot of confusion that I think can come with organic. So it's just great to kind of get all the facts and first and all the ducks in a row before starting that journey. So there's the email and a hotline that you can feel free to call or direct any of the growers that you're working with to reach out that way. Want to talk a little bit about our mentorship program. So we have two different mentorship programs. We have our farmer to farmer mentorship that is focused on beginning farmers. And then we have our mentorship program through the Transition to Organic Partnership Program, or TOP. So um, really what we're looking for particularly is mentors to participate in this program. So as a mentor, we ask that somebody is certified organic or maybe a retired organic farmer, or just somebody with knowledge. And we pair them with a mentee over the year. Now we are entering our final year for the top program, so it actually will wrap up in October. So we are putting together smaller agreements, 6 months, 9 months, to finish out this year of the program. So mentors do get paid to participate in that. It comes up to about $75 an hour for their participation. So if you know of anyone who would be a great mentor or a mentee, definitely you can send them my direction, or it's organictransition.org right here is where you can go to the website, find more information on it. A little bit more about top and priorities. So, talked about farmer mentorship. You can take that 1 year commitment out. Now that we are in the final year, we can, move those agreements down a number of months. There's training that we provide. It is asynchronous for the mentors. We try to do 45 hours annually, but can adjust that, and we compensate mentors. It's also free for mentees to participate in. So a great mentee is someone who is in production for a little bit, possibly, or starting fresh and just wants to transition to organic. And that could be on their timeline of 3 years. They're waiting for that 36 months of land that has not had a prohibited substance on it, or you know, um, longtime farmers that are just ready to make that switch to organic. So we're seeing a lot of different mentees from all walks of life and all many generations of farms to brand new farmers who are participating in this program. Another priority is technical assistance. So we put on field days through TOP program. We primarily do those in Wisconsin. Organic system plan support too. So again, you can use that organic hotline or contact me directly for any questions about OSP development, where to start, who to reach out to, what to focus on, in that aspect. So we also have a great UW extension, does a lot of great work. And recently we've been partnering a little bit more with Purdue and Ashley Adair to put on, we put on some programming, which I'll talk about in a little bit, previously, and then looping them in just to spread the word a little bit more about TOP, specifically in Indiana, and what is out there for farmers to take advantage of. Community building is another big piece. So we put on conferences. Marbleseed puts on a conference, but then we attend other conferences where we might find those organic transition curious farmers at and try to, again, meet them where they're at and talk about the benefits of participating in this program. Hosting roundtables, coffee chats, community of practice, or of producers. So try to just really get organic out there, talk about the importance of it, make it a little bit more accessible and not as scary for producers as well. Workforce development is the last piece and something that is really important, I think, for the priorities that TOP has been focusing on. We need more organic inspectors. We need more knowledgeable certification staff that just know, that are either coming from farming backgrounds or very passionate about it. Um, but the inspectors is a huge one, right? We see a lot of burnout in inspectors. It's a lot of drive time potentially. And then TOP is also focused on organic curriculum and inspector training. There's a really cool program that came out of OFA partnered with um, Center for Arkansas Food and Farming, CAF, to create an inspector mentorship program. When this program started, there was not an organic inspector in Arkansas. And the next closest state, I don't even know where they were coming from. So everybody would have to drive in for any farms that are going through an organic inspection. So now we're really focusing on how do we put inspectors in states where they should be. So that's one thing that one of the priorities that I think has been super important, as long as getting all the information directly to producers. So here's a little bit more information on the program. That website is really great. So organictransition.org, you can look up information on the mentorship program. You can look up, there's a resources page that's compiling resources from across the country into one location about organic. You can find our information on there and our different sub-award partners that are working. OFA is, I know your neighbors to the east, really great team there, really knowledgeable. So reach out to any of us if you have any questions about participating in the program or connecting producers directly to us.
Hey,
I
Tate,
always
I
like
have
to
a
say,
quick question.
oh yeah.
In the chat, once the top program wraps up, is there a plan for any strategic continuation of the mentorship program?
Yeah, so I know for sure Marbleseed will continue their mentorship program. We always figure out a way to find funding to put it on. That's typically been our beginning farmer program, but I feel we have some Marbleseed's direction is trying to continue this in other ways of continuing to support organic farmers. In terms of the program as a whole, we are meeting in March to say, how do we keep this work up? So we know we're going to lose funding, but how do we continue on the what we have already built and continue to make it better? So what's nice about this program is it is bringing a lot of the states together, and I think it's keeping us, knowledgeable of what we need to do to move forward and support producers. And a lot of that is working together to put on conferences, to coordinate field days, to bring expertise from Wisconsin to Indiana and Indiana to Wisconsin. So we're going to meet and kind of see how we can continue that and advocate for funding for it in the future as well.
Awesome, thanks.
Is it okay if I jump in and add a couple things here, Tay?
Absolutely.
Things I probably should have addressed earlier too. We along the lines of trying to build that capacity long term, one of the things that we're doing with our role in the Organic Transition Initiative as it relates to conservation planning is recruiting and training TSPs, and specifically training TSPs to write organic transition plans, what's known as a CPA 138. So if there are folks on the call or folks you work with who are TSPs or are interested in becoming TSPs, you can certainly reach out and I can help direct those folks toward the resources necessary to get job approval to write those transition plans too. Again, in the hopes of using the resources that exist right now through the Organic Transition Initiative to build that long-term capacity so we can continue to support these producers.
Awesome. Thank you, Tom. So I like to say you are not alone. Setting yourself up from the start and getting the knowledge first before moving forward and implementing anything on your farm can make a world of difference, I would say. So, we have mentorship, we have technical assistance, we have the different educational events, but then I also like to just say organic farmers like to share their knowledge. They're not it's not the occupation where everyone's holding each other close because, it's very competitive. It's not like we have seen there's been so many great mentors that I have learned from just from them participating in the mentorship program. And the discussions are so important, and they really want to share what they're doing and help the next generation. So I really think this is a great program, and you are not alone. So please, share this with producers. If you're interested, reach out and would love to have a conversation about it. So I'm moving into some other different programming that Marbleseed does. We have our organic farming conference, so that is February 26th through the 28th this year in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Thursday are half day sessions that are a little more in depth on a specific topic, and then Friday and Saturday are 75-minute sessions. And there are 5 sessions happening at a time. So a lot of content. We also make sure we hold space for um, networking. We have office hours, we have affinity groups, we have meetups that happen throughout the conference. And then we do have an exhibit hall where we try to save enough time for people to really go in and have great quality conversations. I've heard so many times from doing surveys after the conference that the content's great. We love the conversations in the hallways. And that's something that I think the Marbleseed Conference has really pride itself on for years is let's get together, let's talk, let's have these one-on-one conversations where we can really, keep moving forward. So we love holding that space. I attended the conference for 8 years before I joined staff. So I've really seen it, grow and then kind of come up to this new time post-COVID, where we are just figuring out again. There's a lot of conferences out there. So it'd be great to have you join us there. Organic University, these are our 1 day classes that we move across the Midwest. We actually had our first one ever outside of the conference in Danville, Indiana in November. So that was great to be in Indiana and have a couple days or a day of programming. We kind of broke it out between specialty crops and grain crops, and it was great. Our next one is going to be focused on dairy in Wisconsin, and then our new Farmer U. We also had a new Farmer U in Bloomington, Indiana, in November, and that was an awesome success. We had 30 people in the room. It was very tight quarters, so it was jam-packed. I don't think we could have fit one more person in. But it's 2 days of really focusing on farm business skills development for new farmers. So it's 1 day of our Fearless Farm Finances curriculum, and then another day of workshops that are generally mostly farm business management focused. So we love these. It's that retreat style event. So you really, again, talk about getting to know one another, having that opportunity for networking and, um, and just kind of building that cohort. So that's what we really like about New Farmer U. And, at the end, I'll go over some dates that we have for those. I think I saw something come through, a question about if we'll have something else in Indiana. Let me just check the
Yeah, it's
chat there.
what would you
Mhm.
need, what would one need to do to host a new Farmer U potentially in Indiana?
Yeah, so definitely reach out and see what, we can see what we have for funding and what the organization might have for funding, for example. But we generally try to keep this a very low cost for producers to attend while including lodging. So, for example, the last time we put this new Farmer U on with PIF in Indiana, who had a subaward through one of our beginning farmer grant programs. And they charged $50 for the weekend that included food and lodging. So, and then there were scholarships available as well. So we try to keep those costs down. So we try to just have enough funding to really make that the case. Um, and otherwise, it's just a conversation on figuring out, location and timing is another really important one for this. Um, we need to have it at a time frame where farmers can actually leave the farm for a day and a half, 2 days. So, yeah, just reach out and as we put in for grant applications and apply for funding. And if you have funding, just let us know. And we love doing these. It's one of our favorite things that we do, definitely, that I get to be a part of. Want to talk a little bit about the Egg Solidarity Network. So this is no matter, take travel out of the equation. This is a space online for community to grow the organic farming movement. So you can log on here. It's just the Egg Solidarity Network. I think I have um, right here, eggsolidaritynetwork.com. Um, and here's an example of what the homepage looks like. So there's a live feed where it just you see who joins, you see anybody posting general like a timeline. You can search, there's groups. So for example, there is a group like for TSPs, interested in TSPs on the Egg Solidarity Network. There's classified, you can post events, and you can post like job opportunities and other opportunities like that. So I'm not a social media person. I've gotten off of them and I love going on to here though because like honestly, you don't get the BS that a lot of other social platforms have. So we're not selling data, we're not trying to profit off of this. This is just a space really to for anybody interested in, sustainable food, growing food to be a part of. So again, that's eggsolidaritynetwork.com. Tom, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I just want to encourage folks to you know just increase engagement with this platform because like Tay said, this is something that we support. We find the funding to support it. The idea is that it's a space that is community owned. This isn't a Marbleseed property. This is intended to be a tool that any organization anywhere can use as long as they're basically, part of our tribe. Are we all on the same page about moving small agriculture and the production of real food forward? That's the only stipulation for being a part of this project, and it's rooted in some ideas. That symbol there. Um, I don't know how many of you folks know Ray Hinaldo Hazlitt Markeen, but he was on our board of directors for a while. He was part of the Regenerative Ag Alliance in Minnesota. Um, has done an awful lot of work in helping small producers build systems that are attainable and can be financed. It revolves around his tree range chicken brand, where they're growing poultry in an agroforestry paddock shift kind of system. But Rehi was born and raised in Guatemala, and his time on the board of directors, he brought what I think is a very important indigenous perspective to our work. And that symbol is something that he's used in his work and we use as part of the Ag Solidarity Network to sort of symbolize the idea that we're all connected and we can't be effective without building that community. And I've been around this work long enough now to know that where I think we're to move forward, I don't know. We need education. Obviously, we need to support producers one on one, but we also have to be actively engaged in movement building and in governance. We have to find a way to come together and speak with a louder and more unified voice about the kinds of policy and the kind of direction our farm bill, for example, needs to go. And we can't do that. Any one of our individual organizations just isn't, we aren't big enough and we aren't loud enough. And so this platform is really about building that collective power. So that's just a long and rambling way of saying, this is something that belongs to the whole community. It doesn't belong to Marbleseed. And I just really want folks to look at it that way and engage from that through that lens.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. This is something that was just kind of it was already existed after I joined staff, and we would love to see more engagement, as Tom said. Like it's really important to hold space, right? To have these conversations and to, you know, use it. So thanks, Tom, for adding that. Um, just wanted to provide some save the dates then for upcoming events. Talked about the conference for a little bit. Again, that's February 26th through the 28th in La Crosse. You can go to conference. There's too many W's there, so don't put all of them in there if you're searching. Conference.marbleseed.org to find the schedule and find more information on there. We have one of those new Farmer U's happening in Lanesboro, Minnesota, so kind of east Minnesota. That's Saturday, March 21st and 22nd, and you can find more information on our events page. We're also having one of the organic universities moving toward organic dairy. That's going to be a one-day event in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, in March as well. And then wanted to provide an online opportunity. So our Climate Circle series, this is an eight-part series. So the remaining dates are, you can see there, January, February, March, and April and May. And it's really space for storytelling, cultural wisdom, wellness tools. And the conversation goes kind of with whoever's in the room and kind of what they want to talk about. So sometimes there'll be a theme. This is facilitated by one of our coworkers, Sophia, who has really carried this work on and is doing an amazing job. So right now, I believe there's still a wait list to join, but you can email Sophia, you can go to our website and under events and field days and find this. Email Sophia if you want to be added to the wait list. It's a great opportunity to be online and to just, work together and share stories and learn from one another. So otherwise, that's what I have. Some overviews of the work Marbleseed does. We do some other work around mental health and well-being, and really just reach out to us if you have any questions at all. If you want to partner on events, we are always down to have those conversations. We are always, want to. I loved my time in Indiana, let me just say. I really got to know a bunch of great people and just learn more about the state. And I would love to be back. So if there's any partnerships we can have on anything, absolutely just let me know and reach out to Tom or I. I'll put this one back up as well. And then I think I'll stop sharing.
And if anyone has any quick questions that didn't get a chance to post it in the chat, please just pipe in. We're happy to allow Tay and Tom to answer those. Well, all right. I guess we will move forward. If anyone thinks of anything, please put it in the chat and we can definitely forward those questions on Warwick County Soil and Water Conservation District has a question. They want to know, what's the best way do you all think to engage new small farmers?
Yeah, I think providing space, like to just call with any questions. I think our organic hotline is excellent just for like access to be able to ask any questions, even though it might like they might not ask it a workshop or something, but just like the discretion to ask any questions, I think is super important. So like we need to do a better job, I would say, of just like sharing that organic hotline number out every once in a while on social media so we can provide that information, I would say. And then just trying to organize on-farm events that are moving around, right? I think we spend a lot of time in Wisconsin. I would love to get, more across the Midwest as well, but providing opportunities for farmers to come to and providing those like small networking opportunities within that, I think is how you build trust with a small farm to work with them and provide those opportunities. So it's not just me yelling at them my thoughts, but like, or can you think about a mentorship? What do you think about a mentorship program? What do you think about attending this field day and asking these farmers like the questions instead of asking to me? So I think just providing those opportunities for like the direct technical assistance, but then those broader like networking opportunities, I think is really important.
Yeah, great question. And Juan Carlos is interested in finding more information about growing greens, in small scale scenarios,
Mhm.
especially when they don't have access to machinery.
Yeah. Michael Fields has a great program right now. I the details off the top of my head, I will have to look, and I could probably send you that. But they have some grant programming that is a staple crop production for small scale growers, something like that, or historically underserved growers. So I think that would be a great location. At our conference too, we have a small grain equipment showcase that is really going to show like how you can scale up that and like what do you need for cleaning grain? What do you need actually for harvesting? So I'm really excited for Sam Bibby. He's at UW Extension to have that. And then he might be a great connection as well. Just like when we're talking specifically about equipment and like how do you scale up and like what do you actually need versus what can you put off for a couple years when as you are growing.
I'll maybe just add a couple things. The Artisan Grain Collaborative is
Yeah.
another organization that they do a lot of work with small producers. I would say primarily small producers, and really focused on food
Hmm.
grade small grains as much as anything. The other, like, harvesting grain at a small scale is always a challenge, and it's especially in I would say in North America because we just approach it so differently, and we have just such big farms, so everything's been so equipment intensive. Whereas some other parts of the world, there is still some really useful equipment that is at a much more human scale that I guess there are ways to gray market import some of that kind of stuff. I would love to see some manufacturers in this country really sort of embrace that the community of folks who obviously want to incorporate grains into their operation, but unfortunately, as it stands right now, we don't have a lot of that equipment. I think there are opportunities for small producers if they're clustered to get into some modestly sized equipment, but it's been many years since we've had anything like pull behind combines or any of the kinds of Alice Chalmers and you know um, international pull behinds that were around 40, 50 years ago still. But yeah, it is a challenge, and grains are just a lot of work at a small scale, but it is improving. And you can reach out to us. I would definitely reach out to Artisan Grain, and
Mhm.
we can probably point you toward the resources that are out there at this point.
Yeah.
And we had another question about how can we as an SWCD be a resource for small farmers?
I I think again just having that open line of communication that is always available is really important. Um, Sharing any links, resources, events, kind of being, or even just linking to a community calendar that exists, right? I think is great and showcasing what's available. And then it might take some patience for working with small and beginning farmers. And I think that's something that as ag professionals, we all, um, just need to understand and really, look inward and figure out how to best do that. So I think there takes a lot of that and just being accessible um, and posting opportunities, resources, learning more. That continuing education piece is so important for all of us, right? So as new opportunities exist, to better understand them is really important for any agriculture professional.
You
And
know, and go
oh,
ahead.
I'll just say the comment I saw, Ashley there has been absolutely great to work with. I'm very jealous that you get to work with her in Indiana, that she's in Indiana. So I'll just say that.
I was just going to add, that I'll get back on my conservation planning soapbox for a minute, but there, the any SW, SWCD, the conservation is going to be at the core of your work, and and you know the work that I do is really kind of in that area where we're navigating that intersection of the value that an NRCS conservation practice and the planning process itself can bring to that farm, and all the other pieces that farmer needs to be successful. And I don't know that we talk enough about really how transformative a good relationship with the NRCS can be, and how and conservation planning on that farm generally, the impact it can have on the development of that farming system, how they're cycling nutrients on that farm, how they're utilizing their crop rotation as part of their pest and weed management strategy, those kinds of things. And I think that smaller farms tend to take that more holistic approach more often, and also really benefit from it. And I think it's a really critically important piece of their long-term success. And we have to, collectively working together, we have to be able to bring all of those resources to a producer. And one of the most important ones that I've been lucky enough to receive on my farm is that support from NRCS. It's part of why I'm so committed to the work that I'm doing and the role that I'm playing, is because I know that my first grazing plan and the support for the hard practices that went along with that was transformative for my farm, and I couldn't be doing the things I'm doing as a farmer if it wasn't for that support. And I want everyone who works with the NRCS to have a similar positive experience. And I think it starts with that planning piece. And that planning piece creates those opportunities. Those first four steps of that planning process is our opportunity to really start connecting them to the other resources, whether our organization provides them or somebody else does. Just knowing where to send them for that financial and business management component of what they're going to need to be successful, or if they need deeper agronomy TA, or those kinds of things, just to know where to point them, and also understand where conservation fits into that puzzle. I think it's a really critical intersection where we connect all of those dots.
And Indiana Small Farms Conservation, we're the people who can be that intersection too, and another point person for all of those intermediator, roles, and keep you connected to that. And I don't know if you guys saw Kevin's question. He may have missed the link, but you mentioned an incentive program that was an alternative to Equip. Did you mention, is there a link that you could share with him on the chat?
I think it may be in there. It's for the AMP program. AMP is what replaced the Climate Smart Commodities program, and it functions largely the same. It's much a rebrand as anything else, but it essentially moves as much of that money from that program as possible directly through to farmers, which is a good thing. And we can provide technical assistance and some agronomy support as part of that as well. It's really focused on row crop farmers, grain farmers, so it could be small grains or corn, even beans to some degree. But we're really looking. Our program is focused on organic and transitioning to organic producers. So anybody who's in that either one of those categories, they have certified ground, or they are in the process of transitioning. They're eligible for our program, and it really is just implementing. There's a list of practices. It'll be the common ones that you would normally expect to find on a cropping operation like that. and we can provide a little more support than they might get just in terms of the implementation of those practices. And it is attractive. The payments are attractive just from that kind of per acre standpoint when you start looking at it through that small farm lens.
We might be following up with you, Tom, if we can, just as we work through conservation crop rotation. That was one of the additions for Kevin, working on that practice for small scale, and interpreting those standards for small scale is something we really want to dig into the weeds on very soon.
We have another question on the chat, so maybe we could move on to our portion, but if Tom or Tay want, Thomas, and Tay want to tackle that on the chat, please feel free to do that. All right, Megan, Aurelie, kick it off.
All right. I hate to cut us off, but thank you so much for being here, and we'll share your recording out on YouTube after the fact. And thank you so much for sharing all of those resources with us again and being other points of contact for our small scale farms and also conservation professionals here in our state. So, just again, we are going through this transition in our program from being the Urban Soil Health Program. We have a new logo, new name. We are now the Indiana Small Farms Conservation Team Program, fill in the blank, or in Small Farms Conservation for short. And we are, going through a few rounds of getting the word out about our services and what our focus is. And there will be new directives coming out from NRCS here soon, but we really want to encourage all of those NRCS DCs on the call, any SWCDs to still connect with our team and have us out to support small scale producers doing site visits. We can come out to the farm, talk about those conservation farming practices, your goals, and really be engaged in that next level of going through the conservation planning process and, thinking more holistically about, kind of what Thomas was saying, getting back to that root of why we are here and what we're able to provide in a small scale context in diversified crops. We can still do a free soil test as well. So that's often a hook of getting us out and then, thinking about the land as a whole. And then our, new part of our work will really focus more on programs, so EQIP and CSP and those financial assistance programs, and then the back end using softwares and tools to have that happen. And I know it's going to look different in every county with working with the DCs on, where we intersect with that, but we're really excited to jump in with you and talk about what works and how we can help. So, in terms of our team, Tanvi covers the majority of the North, and then Mike Ryan is hired through Allen County to support the far Northeast area, the Great Lakes counties. So we work really closely with him. And then Megan is covering most of the South, with the exception of myself doing some field work in the Southwest Central area as well. And there is this map on our website under our team. And then I'll turn it to Tanvi to just introduce yourself a little bit more.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Tanvi, and I now cover the 37 counties in most of the northern part of Indiana. And this past year was my first full year with the organization, so I am like the newest out of the bunch on the team. And this work specifically culminates about 15 years or so of my ecological restoration work. I've done community building and education, composting and soil science work, and most recently diving into regenerative agriculture. So most of the work was through on-ground practical experience with small-scale farmers and landowners and nonprofits and community members. So that's what really makes me excited about what Indiana Small Farms organization offers. I'm really energized about being boots on the ground at our local farms because there's no better way to get very specific context about your place and your situation than getting the information directly from you as the farmer. So if you have and would like any technical assistance that you want to chat about, contact me. You can get your soil tested, discuss and plan conservation on your land, and seek out support from other grant and cost share avenues. And that's like NRCS programming and beyond. So that's my email address and my phone number. So reach out. I would love to meet you and expand my knowing of all the different farms around Indiana, especially the Northeast, which is an area I wasn't covering before. So reach out with any questions, and if I can't answer them, I'll push you forward to someone in our network who can. Thank you.
I just went ahead and put this in there from TNV to share that we have a space on our website, a blog that goes through, and we're trying to increase how much we post there. So TNV wrote a really nice article on the high tunnel build that we participated in on Megan's farm in the Southeast recently.
Hey everybody. I'm Megan Ayers and I am the Indiana Small Farms Conservationist for the Southern region. So I like to joke that I go from the Mississippi to the Ohio River. Um, and I'm really excited to engage with farmers and district conservationists. Um, in conservation planning. I feel like I have a unique perspective in that I am also a farmer. I have engaged with these Farm Bill programs, and I'm an agricultural professional. So it's really fun to engage with growers as well as other ag professionals, whether that's supporting your events, being a speaker, or being on farm to help farmers get more familiar with the process that is EQIP, CSP, and other funding opportunities that maybe are not state or federally funded. I've got over 20 years of growing experience from small scale diversified fruit and vegetable to orcharding and livestock. So I'm really excited about small scale livestock utilization in soil health production strategies. I have some sheep on my farm as well as some cooney pigs, which I have just really enjoyed engaging with, as well as chickens and geese. So integrating livestock in a fruit and vegetable system has been really fun to experiment with, both as a farmer and with EQIP programs. Please contact me to get your soils tested if you want to discuss and plan conservation on your land. If you're an ag professional who would like to think about how to better serve that small scale audience, that's also a part of what we do. Or if you want some support with other grants or cost shares, I pretty much have my finger on the pulse of that, as I am also someone who applies for those things. Additionally, it may seem like these 37 counties is a really big region to cover. That is our job. We enjoy coming to your farms. We enjoy coming to your organizations. Please don't hesitate to reach out. We really want to get you on our schedules. We really want to see you face to face. So do not think that we are too far away to engage. So we'll dig in with you, and my email is at the bottom there, and then I can put my phone number in the chat. Happy to take phone calls or texts too. And I want to see everybody very soon. So thanks.
And once again, a plug for even more from Megan and hearing more about her realities on her farm in the winter. And this is a beautiful blog post that she wrote. And then for myself, I am covering about 11 counties, so a much smaller area here in the Southwest Central region. So the Wabash River Valley area, Vermilion, Park, Putnam counties, all the way down into Knox County. And I can't quite believe it, but I've been here in Indiana for 10 years now and connected with uh, the conservation farming community here very early on as I moved to Indiana, and it has been a huge part, like you all have been a huge part of why I continue to stay. Um, and I'm honestly so excited for this next chapter because it will, I think, refuel why I'm here and why I'm in this world and this work and be able to be out on farm with more growers and really see that power of what we as, management practitioners, stewards, as growers can do on the land and just be part of that conversation and part of that journey and see all the amazing work that growers are doing for, from just their backyard, which is so powerful, all the way up to scale and feeding a community. So I always grow something in my backyard. Sometimes it's not much, and sometimes I put more in the freezer. And I get to show that, have that experience with my two kiddos, and just have fun. I love growing flowers as well. And I guess if I do have a focus, it's more on the vegetable crop production side. I have a lot to learn on the grazing and perennial production side of things, as well as grains. And I really love to look at mulches and cover crop integration in particular crop rotation. So, how we can terminate and utilize cover crops or, and other mulch amendments in particular vegetable crops. With another thing that I love to talk about, although I don't love that it exists, is lead contamination in urban soils. So please talk with me if that's something that you're experiencing in your community. And then, as Thomas mentioned, there is the deadline for EQIP, CSP, and other USDA, NRCS Farm Bill programs coming up very soon. So January 15th is the new deadline that was extended from early December. And we are really happy that we were able to, with NRCS, our small farm conservationist, Kara Bergschneider, put on an EQIP roadmap webinar in December. And I encourage you all to share it out with small scale farmers because there are a lot of practices that are eligible for financial assistance through EQIP. So high tunnels, low tunnels, mulch, cover crop, reduced till, tarps, wildlife habitat, micro irrigation, alley cropping. Again, we need to go back to that conservation plan and get out on site with those growers, but that first step of just getting in the application is the deadline that we're headed up against right now. And we just put together this small farm questionnaire that is on our website. And this is a great way to have growers directly request our services. So share it with growers to encourage or to request us to come out for a site visit, do soil testing, provide that technical assistance, and talk more about EQIP or other financial assistance programs. And then if you are a DC on this call, stay tuned. More, a similar form will be shared soon that can be used to request our services. Last but not least, just another plug for the SHOT Fund, which operates their EQIP Bridge Loan program. So if you are a grower who already has EQIP cost share, this is a bridge loan program at 0% interest that can help cover those upfront costs of implementing programs. Um, and just a really wonderful thing to fill a gap that is being offered. And they're trying to get people, growers to sign up and money out the door as soon as possible. So please share that out with producers in your county. And then upcoming events, we have some really close deadlines here. Again, the EQIP and CSP application, January 15th. The FACT, Fund a Farmer grant, which I think Megan added here, is due tomorrow. Then the Living Farm series continues in 2026 with our next date, January 18th at Let Us Learn in New Albany. We have our next Small Farms updates is with Jackie Kerr at DePaul, Ulam Student Farm. And then conference season really kicks off with the OFA conference. Also in here is the Oak conference in late February. And I didn't get it together to add Marbleseed on there, but Marbleseed is February 26th, I believe. The Purdue Small Farms Conference in March, and yeah, more Living Farm series as well. Seton Harvest in February, and in March, Soul Food Project in Indianapolis. And then we are looking to do a similar intro to small farm soil health in February that will be a virtual offering similar to CCSI's, and the date is to be determined. So once again, thank you all so much for joining us. We'll see you next month, February 4th. Same place, same Zoom link. Again, Jackie Kerr of DePauw's Ulam Student Farm. And then this is the landing page on our website, now called Small Farms Updates. I think that's all I have to share at this point. So thank you all so much. Any other questions or comments? Pop them in now. Yep,
Or
absolutely, Holly. We'll be in touch with you. Sorry, Tanby.
nope, was about to echo the same thing.
All right. Well, we'll let you get on with your day. Thank you again so much, Tay and Thomas, for being with us and for sharing about Marbleseed. And look forward to connecting with you all soon. Bye.
Well,